Well, Ahmed, thank you very much for inviting me here tonight, although it is quite scary to be confronted by a photograph of yourself of 18 years ago. But thank you again for that kind introduction. Good evening, everybody. Assalamu alaikum. It's a real pleasure to be here again at the Muslim News Awards for Excellence and to be surrounded by friends, by parliamentary colleagues of all political parties, by leaders from across the Muslim community. And we're all here to celebrate the amazing achievements of this wonderfully rich and diverse community that we have here in our country. And that's what I want to touch on very briefly this evening, that word community, and why the strength and vibrancy of our communities is so important to us all. I hope I'll be forgiven if I quote the Holy Quran, which teaches, "O mankind, we have made you into nations and tribes so that you may know one another." And when I made a speech earlier this year in Wales, I talked about the value of our United Kingdom. And my argument then, and my argument again tonight, is that there is no contradiction between loyalty to one's country, loyalty to the United Kingdom, and loyalty to one's community as well. Because people right across this country derive a sense of who we are from a variety of different sources, from family and community, from town and village, from political persuasion, and of course from religious faith. And it's precisely the plurality of those sources and of those bonds which, when they come together, form a whole that is much greater than just the sum of its parts, and a country that's united and stronger and more self-confident about itself and its purpose in the world. You can be British, but also English, Scots, Welsh, Northern Irish, Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Sikh, Jew, Yorkshire, Lancashire, Cornwall, Brummie, Cockney. And none of those loyalties make us feel less loyal to the country, less entitled to stand up and take our place in the mainstream of our society in the United Kingdom. And I think there really is no community which demonstrates more pride, enthusiasm, and pure inspiration than that of British Muslims across our country, many of whom are gathered here in this room tonight. And in the words of the Prime Minister, to whom the value of community is perhaps something she appreciates more than many people, I mean, your influence as a community reaches every part of our society, from sport, charity, the arts and youth work, to business and enterprise as well. There are British Muslims who really are role models, the thinkers, the visionaries. And wherever you look around this country, you see British Muslim men and women leading the way in whatever field they choose. You mentioned Ahmed Samo Farah, yet another medal and another record yesterday, one of the finest sportsmen the United Kingdom has ever produced. Or in the media, Michelle Hussein, who regularly relishes the opportunity to try and skewer myself and other government colleagues in the early hours of the morning on Radio 4. Or you look at politics, at my colleague Nusrat Ghani, the first female Muslim minister ever to speak at the dispatch box in the House of Commons, alongside my cabinet colleague Sajid Javid, the first British Muslim and the first British Asian to hold the office of Secretary of State. And of course, Ahmed, you yourself, the editor of the largest and oldest Muslim newspaper in Britain. Now, I haven't yet read the write-up of yeah. And I haven't, Ahmed, yet read the write-up of this speech, but I hope you'll be saying nicer things than what I tend to have dished out on a daily basis back in the House of Commons. But quite simply, ladies and gentlemen, British Muslims include some of the brightest lights that make up the constellation of brilliance that is our diverse United Kingdom. And it's why it's right we come together tonight to recognise the achievements of the whole British Muslim community. Those achievements are something of which all of us, wherever we come from in society, can be proud, and which all of us can celebrate with enthusiasm, with pleasure and sheer gratitude. But that also explains why we must never stop our efforts to strengthen our communities further and bring people closer together. And one of the events I most enjoyed in my own constituency last summer was when my local mosque in Aylesbury decided to celebrate the end of Ramadan by holding an Eid fete, bringing together, in that title, a British tradition of the village fete with the Muslim festival of Eid. The doors of the mosque and the arms of the community were thrown open to everybody in Aylesbury. And I remember going to the mosque and standing alongside the head of the local police and the command of the local Royal Air Force Station and the mayor and others, hearing the imam talk about the faith and hearing the chairman of the mosque committee describing the community life there. But it's also true that while Britain is a proudly multi-ethnic and diverse country, we cannot pretend that divisions and disparities do not still exist within our society, and we can't avoid the fact that examples of prejudice and injustice are still too common in everyday life, and that for too long, if we're honest with ourselves, governments of all political colours have not acted sufficiently to correct them. Now, nearly 2 years ago, the Prime Minister set out a mission on the steps of Downing Street to build a country that works for everyone. No simple task. Nobody said it would be easy or happen overnight. But part of creating that fairer country we all want to see involves working harder and faster to break down those barriers that are still holding people back from achieving their true potential. And that objective is something I believe that politicians of all political parties in this country believe in too. And that's why one of the Prime Minister's first acts on entering Downing Street was to commission an unprecedented race disparity audit of the whole public sector, the first of its kind in the world. And what that is doing is shining an unsparing light on the disparities faced by many people from different ethnic groups in their use of public services in Britain, from health to education to employment to criminal justice. Now, of course, British Muslims belong to many different ethnic backgrounds, and those of you here tonight are a direct testament to the success stories that come out of the British Muslim community. But what the figures in that audit show is that too many people are still left behind in this country, and that's something we cannot and will not let continue. But while it's our mission to tackle these social policy challenges into the future, we know that there are also more serious and very direct threats that face the Muslim community in the here and now. And frankly, when I read letters or emails that encourage people in this country to participate in a so-called Punish a Muslim Day, and when I hear directly from British Muslims, people who are British citizens, who are paying taxes, who are working, who are active participants in our society, they tell me about the fear which that sort of comment and incitement causes to them and their family. I feel a mixture of outrage and disgust. And when I see reports, particularly see stuff that circulates on social media about regular incidents of anti-Muslim hate crime in our society, it gets me angry. And when I hear and see, and again it's online commentary where this is so often seen, divisive, xenophobic and racist language in political argument, whether it comes from the far left or the far right, I am not only utterly appalled, but absolutely determined that we must work together amongst our different traditions of religion and ethnicity and redouble those endeavours to overcome and to defeat the forces of hatred and of intolerance. And my message, and this government's message, is clear. That kind of bigotry and intolerance has no place in the United Kingdom, and we will try to stamp it out wherever we find it. And so when I read other letters calling for people to take part in a Love a Muslim Day in response to the bigotry, I am reassured that however long the struggle, the values of solidarity and unity will prevail. And when I see people who've committed hate crimes rightly punished, I'm confident that the zero tolerance attitude, whether from government or broader society, is the right one. And when I hear racism and bigotry in our politics condemned from all sides of the democratic tradition, I have more faith than ever, as that my late colleague from the Labour Party, Joe Cox, put it, that what unites us is far greater than what divides us. For it's the actions of people who call out and refuse to tolerate bigotry wherever they find it, and the actions of those who believe in the eternal principles of kindness, charity and compassion, that is what fills me with optimism. And it's like, Ahmed, it is like the actions of Mohammed Mahmoud, the imam at a young man, the imam of the Finsbury Park Mosque, who ran towards and protected the man who'd just driven his car into a group of worshippers nearly a year ago. In his words, he wanted to make sure that the driver answered for his crime. And sure enough, in February this year, that man, Darren Osborne, was found guilty of murder and sentenced to life imprisonment. That is justice, that is tolerance, that is the United Kingdom today at its best. And Mohammed Mahmoud is a true leading light in the British Muslim community. A strong country needs strong and vibrant communities, and those communities need leaders who inspire those around them. And those here tonight, and especially those whom we are celebrating and honouring, are an inspiration and an example to us all. Congratulations to everyone who's been nominated and to everybody who is winning an award. But even more, thank you for everything you have done for this country. And please continue all your work to make this a better, fairer and more tolerant country still, one in which we can all feel that we live together in peace and in pride. Thank you very much indeed.